Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Sotah, page 2, in which discusses a very fascinating concept about marriage. The Talmud tells us that God is actually involved in the process of bringing a man and woman together as husband and wife. However, this is not a simple thing. In fact, it says that the notion of bringing two people together is as difficult as the splitting of the sea when the Jewish people ran away from Pharaoh in Egypt. And just as difficult as it was to separate that sea, not that it's difficult for God, but it's something which goes against the grain of nature, that it's something which is extremely difficult, that God had to intervene that which is the norm. And in this situation too, in order to be able to find two people to be compatible, to be able to live one another, and to be able to find that match is something in which, again, is not of very little difficulty. And on this, the Talmud also points out that there is this connection between leaving Egypt and marriage in general, because God chose a specific time for the Jewish people to leave Egypt. We could have left in the winter time when it was a little bit cold, or in the middle of the summer where it's extremely hot. Instead, God had the Jewish people leave during the spring, which in the month of Nisan, which is around April time, where it's not too hot and it's not too cold. And on this, it's brought down that is the same thing when it came to marriages. It's not only finding two people that are compatible, but it's also bringing them together at the right time. Just like we had to leave Egypt at the precise right time, so too, when a man and woman come together, it has to be at a time when they are both ready to get married. So it's possible that really could have been a match made in heaven, but because you met her when you weren't ready to get married, or she was in a different place in her mind and she wasn't ready to marry you, then you lost that opportunity. So that is the connection. What's even more fascinating is that it's brought down that a person doesn't just marry a person randomly. In fact, what happens is that even in utero, there is an angel that has already predestined that this person is going to marry such and such a person. That this person it's already figured out who they're going to be, who they're going to marry. Which is difficult because we also find, the Talmud here says, that we often will see a match between one modest woman and a righteous man, and a woman who is immodest and one who doesn't show those types of feminine qualities are often together with a man who is more uncouth, who is wicked. And at the same time, we know that we really have free will. And since we have free will, it's not predetermined if I'm going to be good or bad. So how do we understand that God already has figured out who's going to be marrying one another, good and bad, if everyone, in fact, has their own free will? So at utero, how is it possible that this has already been predetermined, and yet we're going to also see that they're able to marry people who are compatible? So in this, the Talmud amazingly says that it depends if it's your first or second marriage. One is your Ziva Grishon. That is a match made in heaven, which means that it's possible, because it took place in utero, that you may end up marrying someone who is not totally compatible to you. And this makes sense on some level when a person is young and naive and doesn't really have so many life experiences. You may end up marrying someone who may not necessarily have the same compatibility. There are great advantages of getting married young, but perhaps you not having those life experiences. When it comes to your second marriage, then we will find a stronger match because of your life knowledge and experience. You more than likely will probably find someone that you're a little bit more cautious to make sure that that person is someone that you are in fact compatible with.